Consortium of the Philippines formed in 2021 at the height of the pandemic, through the relentless efforts of Chairman Emma Imperial and the founding board of directors. PropTech Consortium of the Philippines, uplifting communities through property plus technology. The consortium goes beyond the typical startup technology associations to focus on impact, resilience, and scalable change. PropTech Philippines is envisioned as a platform to tackle policy, product, and people-oriented solutions in a collaborative and open format to share and empower our respective end users and customers. We are PropTech, the Philippines' premier PropTech community uniting developers, designers, suppliers, brokers, users, policymakers, and capital markets to create sustainable, resilient, and inclusive communities through the empowering scalability of technology. Join us in digital transformation, technology sandboxing, policy advocacy, startup system collaboration, and innovations to improve the quality of life for families across the nation. Join us in the digital transformation. Visit our website at www.proptechph.org.
A pleasant and warm welcome to everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I would like to acknowledge the presence of our participants, our guests, our speakers, our partners, PropTech Consortium of the Philippines, FinTech Philippines Association, Startup Village, and Nordic Chamber of Commerce. Before we start, I have a few online meeting etiquette reminders for us to be reminded of the things that's most important for today. First is please keep your audio on mute, and we request that you keep your video on so that we can see your faces, your beautiful faces. We'd like to engage with you, so please, we encourage everybody to type in their questions at the chat box and stay seated and stay present. And let's have fun today. So to get us going, I would like to, first of all, welcome you once again to the Looking into the Future in PropTech and FinTech 2022 event. In 2021, 51% of property companies have turned technology to be able to survive the effects of the pandemic. These companies have turned to startups in the PropTech industry that utilize the power of Web 3.0 in integrating blockchain, decentralized systems, and big data. In the Philippines, it brought about a boom in the startup industry to come up with solutions in this space. In line with this, the PropTech Consortium of the Philippines, as well as the FinTech Philippines Association, recognize the importance of giving a spotlight to these new businesses for the good of the industry and the nation. I forgot to introduce myself. My name is AJ Rosero, and I'm going to be your host for today. So the PropTech Consortium, as well as the FinTech Philippines Association, in partnership with Startup Village, Nordic Chamber of Commerce, have worked together to be able to come up with this event. We have invited several speakers, including Mr. Hobag Lazo from the Digital Success Nonprofit Limited from Hungary, to share some case studies on smart cities in Hungary. Today's event will also feature a panel of PropTech startups such as VR Spaces, HomeJoy, Inventi, Construct, and TOA, who will share more of the future of the industry and where it is headed. To officially begin this program, it is my honor to welcome one of our esteemed speakers. He is the pioneer behind the country's first solar-powered affordable housing community, advocating accessible green real estate to the communities it serves. As the president and CEO of Imperial Homes Group of Companies, she has made innovation as one of the main drivers of her business. This drive has been so successful that it was recognized by the World Bank Group, the Financial Times, and the International Finance Corporation. Imperial Homes is the first local mass housing developer to receive the EDGE certificate for green building and has recently been declared as an EDGE champion in the Philippines. Join me in welcoming Ms. Emma Imperial, Chairman and Co-founder of PropTech Consortium of the Philippines.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the PropTech Consortium of the Philippines, I'm pleased to welcome everyone to the joint event of PropTech and FinTech in partnership with Digital Filipinas and Startup Village. Let me begin by giving you a short introduction of PropTech. Formed in 2021, at the height of the pandemic, the PropTech Consortium goes beyond the typical startup technology associations. It was formed to focus on impact, sustainability, resilience, and scalable technological change. As an industry association, we are in a mission to unite developers, funding institutions, designers, suppliers, brokers, users, policymakers, and capital markets to create a sustainable, resilient, and inclusive communities through the empowering of scalability of technology. And this is why we're excited to collaborate with FinTech Philippines Association and the startup tech community. Looking at the future trends, the property industry is maximizing digital opportunities. Amidst the pandemic, with more companies expected to incorporate technology in their operations, this new normal business model integrates technology to property, now known as PropTech. Through PropTech, technology is maximized to create new opportunities in real estate. Looking forward, more and more real estate and property management companies are expected to embrace PropTech. As new technologies continue to affect and advance the property industry, real estate service provider can stay ahead of the curve by working to develop and implement effective strategies to meet the demands of today and tomorrow. As for FinTech, growth in FinTech has been explosive and shows no signs of slowing down. Startups, on the other hand, are finding their place in the real estate market. They're reshaping the property purchase and management experience in numerous ways. Now, more than ever, technology is integrated into everyday lives, and it's only a matter of time. All will be affected. Digital innovation will continue to change economies and market. Let's continue to innovate for our beloved Philippines, for real estate. Lastly, I can tell you, we can look forward to an excellent discussion as we have a great line of speakers. An award-winning moderator and one of the brilliant founding directors of PropTech, an expert on panel discussion, and of course, amazing startup founders and CEOs who will share their proven tech solutions. I add my best wishes for a successful and fruitful meeting, and my special thanks to the organizers and everyone present here today. Thank you all for joining us. And I'm already thanking you in advance for your active participation in the discussion. Let's stay in touch, and after this meeting, we'd love to connect with all of you. Let's have an amazing day ahead. Thank you and good afternoon.
Thank you so much for that positive message, Emma. And again, I want to emphasize, we'd like to stay in touch and would like to be engaged. So please type in your questions below for our panel discussion later. Our next speaker is an advocate of entrepreneurship with over 15 years work experience in the areas of business development, social development, project management, client relations, training, teaching, and marketing. He took up economics at the Ateneo de Manila University and has an MBA degree from the Asian Institute of Management. Aside from his background in the academe, he is also a practicing entrepreneur. He has a background. He is a serial entrepreneur, having started several businesses. He is also the founder of Mobcard, and as well as the COO of Startup Village, an incubator accelerator that launched years ago. Lastly, he is also a Go Negosyo angelpreneur, director of Let's Go Foundation, director of Lead More, and director of Kalye Negosyo. Let us all welcome Mr. Carlo Calimon.
Thank you, AJ, and thank you for the wonderful introduction. Good afternoon, everybody, and good afternoon to the panelists and guests who are attending this session. First and foremost, I'd like to thank our friends from Digital Pilipinas, the PropTech Association of the Philippines, the FinTech Philippines Association, and Nordcham for having us and Startup Village to be a partner for this exciting session. We are eager to listen, to hear the inputs of our startups and enterprises who are present in this panel this afternoon in relation to PropTech and FinTech in the Philippines this coming year and the years to come. We are very eager to participate, especially as Startup Village, as we continue to develop startups, entrepreneurs who are trying to make things better than it was before through the disruptive technologies that are being applied. As was mentioned earlier, we are living in a very digital world wherein innovation plays a key role in uplifting nations. We all understand that as was shared, a lot of innovations that we are using today was brought about in a time of crisis. And this is actually where entrepreneurs are at their element. So I hope that everybody embraces these times and these challenges to develop something new and something different, as seen and as shown by our startups this afternoon. Startup Village continues to do all of these things through our various programs, which include the GIFT, our incubation program, breakthrough pitching sessions where we present startups to potential partners, clients, and potential investors. And in addition to that, we were happy that, in partnership with the Hungarian embassy, we were able to actually feature a startup called Datapolis that came from all the way from Hungary, and we tried to present them to our partners here locally. In addition, we are now in the process of executing our latest endeavor under Startup Village, which is called Project Match, wherein we want to empower MSMEs and to convert them into digital negocios, right, through our certified digital negosyo program. In this case, we empower these enterprises, these MSMEs, by matching them with startups who have the digital solutions they require to really elevate and improve their businesses. So with that, I am looking forward to this afternoon session, looking forward to our panel discussions, and I hope that we continue to work together to elevate not just our respective businesses, but also the MSMEs and the startups who are doing wonderful and great things towards nation building. Once again, thank you to our friends and organizers of this session, and I look forward to working with you again in the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carlo, for sharing what you have in store for the startups, and thank you for what you do. Our next speaker is an award-winning brand architect, risk, issues, crisis strategist, movement maker, and marketing and communications innovator. She is the first in the Philippines to become an ISO 31000 crisis management practitioner. She is the country's leading communications, marketing, and public relations practitioner in the sphere of digital transformation, blockchain, cryptocurrency, and nascent technologies. She is also currently the executive director of the FinTech Philippines Association, the largest FinTech association in the country. She is also the Innovation Committee Chair of the European Chamber of Commerce, recently appointed as the Execo Chair for the Global Impact FinTech for its ASEAN chapter. She also served multiple terms in the board of the Urban Land Institute of the Philippines. Together with Ms. Emma Imperial, she co-founded the PropTech Consortium of the Philippines. She is also the convener of the World FinTech Festival and Digital Pilipinas, a whole of nation and a whole of society movement to create a globally competitive technology and innovation ecosystem for the Philippines. I'm proud to introduce Ms. Amor Maclang.
Digital Pilipinas is the largest private sector-led movement to build an ecosystem for innovation and technology for the country. And our hope is to not just take on some of the largest problems of the Philippines that are addressable with technology, but collectively to raise our innovation quotient as a country. We are experiencing a technology renaissance here in the Philippines, where the best and brightest from all over the world are actually choosing to domicile themselves here in the Philippines. Now what we're seeing is an influx of global technology talents choosing to headquarter themselves here in the Philippines because we have the greatest talent for it. We have a killer ecosystem, the most enabling regulators. So the formula for success to build a great technology business is here in the Philippines.
Digital Pilipinas, as a movement, represents the most expansive, industry-driven effort to bring together the champions of emerging technologies with the business leaders who are committed to transforming the landscape. It is our honor and privilege to once again co-convene Digital Pilipinas. Let the world feel the excitement as our nation becomes a center for innovation.
This year, we have 4 priority areas. Number 1 is MSME, digitalization, and e-commerce. The ultimate objective is to be able to trade in trust and in confidence outside of your traditional borders. All of the technological advancements that we're experiencing right now is really intended to create more cross-border cooperation. Digital Pilipinas is the channel partner of Proxtera, the global procurement arm of the MAS that is intended to create a safe space for entrepreneurs from all over the world to be able to trade in security and in trust.
As a pioneer in e-commerce in electronics, my vision is to see every Filipino household having a gadget purchase from Kim Store. We share the same goal with Digital Pilipinas, pursuing the same mission, gathering talented individuals who can make a change and putting Philippines in the center of innovation.
The Philippine e-commerce market is forecasted to be the fastest growing e-commerce market globally this year, growing by more than 25%. That has created a very dynamic part of the economy. It's powered by the marketplaces and shop platforms, powered by a whole network of enablers, by a whole community and a whole industry that is developing there to support e-commerce. And Digital Filipinas is bringing together a lot of those ecosystem stakeholders, and as such I'm very glad to be part of the Digital Filipinas movement that helps to develop this vibrant industry in the Philippines.
The second work stream that we're championing in Digital Pilipinas is the creation of an API-led economy. We're looking at launching an API marketplace that would allow for continuous innovation and continued connection between businesses and organizations here in the Philippines.
An API-led economy is about unbundling products so that customers can access what they want, when they want it, at a competitive price. They can use APIs, connect to a startup that's specifically serving that community. And that's the power of the API-led economy. It allows the product and the providers and the users who are receiving and benefiting from that product to connect in ways they couldn't before.
Financial inclusion is ensuring that we make financial services accessible and affordable to every individual and business in the country. It also allows us to educate and promote discovery on their own and assist them with the right services anywhere they are and anytime they need it.
The third work stream that we're championing in Digital Pilipinas is all about micro-education and micro-certification. The way we look at education has tremendously changed throughout the years. No longer are kids committed to take a 4, 6, 7-year course in university, and instead they're focusing on technological skills that are snackable and easy to acquire, immediately certifiable, and with your credentials being carried with you in the blockchain. We will be launching this year an internship program that would allow undergraduates or career shifters to be able to experience several corporations in 1 year, so that by the time that they graduate from the internship or the fellowship program, they are Web 3.0 ready.
We have to embrace the idea of micro-credentials, micro-certifications, or even micro-degrees. What it is really is learning less things and learning things faster. What we need to do together with Digital Pilipinas is create that bridge that will address the skills gap in this new economy. From what skills you have now and what you need to do to get the skills you need tomorrow.
So the way we see EdTech is really to solve not just 1 or 2 pain points, but really solve most of the pain points of the entire ecosystem. And that's really by pushing for digital learning and helping both not just the students and their parents, but also the teachers, the schools, and all the institutions like government and corporates that are working towards independent, well-trained, successful citizenry that can get the jobs and the careers that they want.
Embracing digital opportunities requires developing new digital skills. There is no question about it. This means empowering learning, supporting public policies for reskilling, and encouraging continuous improvements in that area. As we consider the challenges facing the world today, we at Microsoft acknowledge the enormous responsibility we have to ensure that the technology we are building benefits everyone around us. And it has to be in line with our mission, which is to empower every person and every organization on the planet.
And last but not the least is, of course, FinTech, which is the fuel that fires all of these industries. We look at FinTech not as a vertical, but rather a horizontal that powers various industries. During the pandemic, everyone talked about the dramatic increase in digitalization and also in digital transformation. A lot of what precipitated that was actually the movement of money. And the movement of money in those various verticals was brought about by FinTech. In our case, we will ensure that FinTech will continue to not just energize but revitalize legacy industries for the country.
To have also a basis by which, I used the word laymanize earlier, but by which we can laymanize the application of technology and understand the fact that we can only do so much relative to educating or telling or basically increasing the level of financial literacy of people. So there can be an approach wherein it can be hybrid. There can be an approach by which we can be more patient about people not adopting immediately.
What FinTech did is they proved that the minimum digital hygiene of 24/7 accessibility, Six Sigma reliability, real-time transactions, safe and secure was very possible. The use of mobiles and other devices allowed those services to be self-service in many ways. So that basically increased the accessibility of financial services to a broader set of the population.
We recognize that not one company can make finance for all happen. We believe in the power of collaboration and how it could speed up inclusion. This will help us in our desire to empower communities, because even the tiniest contribution adds up and has a snowball effect to create meaningful waves of impact in the country today.
Digital Filipinas has been one of the strongest advocates for the use of technology in the industry. Now, for Philippines to be the center of cryptocurrency and blockchain, there are macro policies created that incentivize companies to invest in Philippines. Secondly, the understanding of blockchain ecosystem and cryptocurrencies is included in the education syllabus. And last but not the least, the research and development around this technology is incentivized.
The right timing, the right ingredients are all in place. We can truly start the beginning of our road to a digital Pilipinas.
Let's all build a cyber-secure digital Pilipinas.
Together, let's build a digital Pilipinas through open finance.
Through e-commerce.
Through EduTech.
Through FinTech.
Mabuhay ang digital Pilipinas.
Mabuhay!
Mabuhay.
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 Let's build a digital Pilipinas together.
Magandang araw po sa inyong lahat. Assalamualaikum. And to my friends calling in from Budapest, Jane Dobry, I hope I said that correctly. Digital Pilipinas is really a celebration of the many amazing heroes who are working so quietly and unobtrusively towards building an ecosystem for the Philippines that's ready to join the digital revolution all over the world. So what I'm going to do now is just very briefly talk about these many heroes. And I'd like to start with the chairman and co-founder of the PropTech Consortium of the Philippines, Miss Emma Imperial. She's really started a lot of the work in innovating this industry, not just through technology, but making sure that the access to new technologies and innovation in a legacy industry such as real estate is made accessible to as many people as possible. And I remember still that day when we had coffee and she was listening to my raving excitement about the possibility of a PropTech consortium. And I said, Miss Emma, only a leader in the industry like yourself can start this. And I am so pleased to see the convergence of real estate and also of FinTech. The other person, and you'll hear from him later, who has really been instrumental in putting the Philippines, not just in the FinTech, but in the technology map, is Dr. Tito Ortiz. To many of you, he is the moving force behind the digitalization of Union Bank, but to me, he'll always be the father of FinTech in the country. And we are of the belief that any industry that allows for the efficient movement of money will continue to thrive and give birth to many more innovations, such as, say, the banking industry, as you can see, that has given birth to FinTech. And we're very optimistic that with the way the real estate industry is embracing FinTech, it's going to perhaps yield the next unicorn. Very important to note is the support of our newfound family members and friends. I was very thrilled to meet the dynamic and very tech-up leadership of Ambassador Tita Toth of the government of Hungary in the Philippines, and supported a special shout out to Mr. Gabor, and of course, our keynote today, Mr. Laszlo, calling in all the way from one of my favorite cities in the world, Budapest. He will talk about how the Philippines and Hungary have a very similar setup. They have their own barangays, and hopefully with this talk today, it can help us, it can help inspire our local government units to tech up one city at a time. Smart, digital, and innovative cities is one of the key pillars and advocacies of the PropTech Consortium, and under the dynamic leadership of our president, Sylvester Wong, who's one of our pillars in the industry as well. We hope to be able to do this with Hungary. Thank you, Mr. Carlo Calimon, for your unwavering support for many years in the startup scene. And I'm so thrilled to see my friend, one of our mentees, in the final pitch under one of the more important evangelists in real estate and now technology, Mr. John Aguilar. Shout out to OJ. I can't wait for the rest of the communities of FinTech, PropTech, and Digital Filipinas to listen to this amazing architect who has embraced technology. You know, every time I zoom in on Emma's work, she's either here in the Philippines, in Bicol, one of my favorite regions, or in Europe. And she really embodies the connectivity between ASEAN and Europe, especially when it comes to not just real estate, smart cities, but also for Web3. This coming June, Digital Filipinas will be leading a group of founders, investors, all believing in Web3, crypto, blockchain, sustainable finance, and ESG as we join the rest of the world in what is the Davos of Web3, and that is the Point Zero Forum. Special shout out to the government of Singapore, specifically our chief, Sapnendu Mohanty, who is the one true tour de force in FinTech, financial services, and technology in the country. So if you've seen the musical Hamilton, that's very similar to what he's doing for the current financial industry around the world. We are so excited to be seeing a reverse diaspora of the best and brightest in technology, FinTech, real estate, moving to the Philippines and choosing to domicile themselves here in our country. On Monday, we're about to undertake what is perhaps one of the most defining and important elections in our country. And we hope that whoever will be leading the new government will continue to support an ecosystem that is supportive of technology and innovation. On behalf of the board of the PropTech Consortium of the Philippines, led by Ms. Emma Imperial, in behalf of the board of the FinTech Philippines Association, led by Dr. Tito Ortiz, and the partners and conveners of Digital Filipinas. Let's all build a Digital Filipinas through PropTech and FinTech. Maraming salamat po at mabuhay po ang Pilipinas.
Thank you so much, Amor. That was a very inspiring message. So many things happening in FinTech and PropTech. So we're looking forward to joining more events. And now I would like to introduce our guest speaker for today. And he is the Managing Director of Digital Success Nonprofit Limited in Hungary since 2018. He is originally an IT engineer. He has been working for the government of Hungary for more than 10 years. He has managed projects, including EU projects aimed at establishing and updating centralized governmental IT systems. He has led the Department of Public Administration Development and Strategic Planning at the Prime Minister's Office. He has been an IT consultant for several ministries, example, the Ministry of Public Administration and Justice, and public bodies like the Directorate General for Audit of European Funds. He has been the IT Security Officer for the National Healthcare Services Center, the National Info Communication Service Company, and the Prime Minister's Government Office, as well as heading the Department of Development Programs and Monitoring at the Ministry of Justice. It's my pleasure to introduce him, Mr. Hubert Lazo.
Thank you very much and good afternoon to everyone in Manila. It's still quite early here in Budapest. it's always inspiring to see familiar faces because actually we had a meeting last week, and the same topics appeared like API-based economy and micro certificates and so. And we had an event of like 4.5 hours, and it wasn't enough to discuss all the topics. And now I have 10 minutes to hold a presentation, so I will try to focus on the main topic today, which is PropTech. Actually, after we arrived back to Hungary last week, we signed an MOU with the Digital Filipinas. So I think this is going to be a fruitful relationship, as less than a week passed, and we are holding a meeting together. So I'm sorry, I'm searching for the screen share button, but I can't find it. Yeah, here it is. Okay, I hope the connection is going to be okay, because I had some issues with the video stream. Can my presentation be seen? Okay,
Yes.
thank you very much. Just a short introduction. We are the Digital Success Program. We are a government operated organization. We are in existence since 2015. First, the government launched a consultation among the citizens about the government's role in the digital transformation. They asked some mildly suggested questions of the citizens. Do you want the internet to be cheaper? Do you want the broadband to be available for all of the households? Do you want the 5G networks to be developed? Do you want the education to be more digital? And so unsurprisingly, most of the people answered yes. And so the government launched a Digital Success Program, which is in its third iteration today. We are a government agency, non-profit LTD, with around 400 people working for us in all fields of public administration and digital government. Here are our main strategies we elaborated through the 7 years of our operation. One of the most important is the digital education strategy. We elaborated the digital startup strategy and the digital export development strategy of Hungary. These were the first and the biggest to date. We also operate coalitions, which is rather unusual operation of the government in Hungary, because the coalitions which we have in the field of artificial intelligence, the 5G networks, the drones, and the newly founded blockchain coalition, it gathers all the actors in that field from the government, the research institutions, universities, and also SMEs and big international companies. Our biggest coalition is the Artificial Intelligence Coalition, which operates for over 4 years now. They elaborated the country strategy of Hungary on artificial intelligence, and it has over 400 member organizations and moves around 2,000 experts in the field of artificial intelligence. Regarding PropTech, we operate a knowledge center on smart cities, which is called Civitas Sapiens, and it's Latin for smart cities. Our biggest focus is not the big cities and metropolitan areas. You know, the whole Hungary has less citizens than Manila metro area, but we have over 3,000 municipalities in this small country. 85% of them are under 5,000 inhabitants, and they don't have the big resources, meaning human resources, financial resources, and competence as well to carry out major smart city projects. So we have a mission of establishing smart city solutions in these little municipal areas. This is called the Digital Village Program. And what's important to mention is that we have a training program for smart city experts. We have trained over 1,500 experts on smart cities all over Hungary and the Hungarian populated area of the neighboring countries. And we operate a smart city marketplace, and we are lobbying and we are seeking funding for the municipalities to carry out, to be able to carry out these projects. The smart city marketplace has a validated database of smart city solution providers and also integrators, and the marketplace connects the demand from the side of the municipalities, the local governments, with the actual solutions, and with the banks who provide the financing for these projects. We have cooperation with over 100 municipalities in Hungary, and as it is the beginning of the European Union's funding period, because most of the regional developments in Hungary are realized using European Union funds, it is going to be in a huge ascent shortly. We also have another marketplace or mentor program, which consists of around 200 companies. This is also a validated marketplace for the companies providing good digital solutions in Hungary. Some of them are startups, some of them are scale-ups, but most of them have a valid product or solution in the digital area, and our goal is to exit them from the 10 million people Hungarian market to the world market, as we believe that if they have a decent digital solution, it's in the digital age, it's good for the whole world. It doesn't mean direct enter for most of the markets. Our biggest focus economies, focus markets are the Middle Eastern countries, Southeast Asia, and the sub-Saharan region of Africa, and the Balkans in Southern Europe. In these areas, it's always hard to enter a market as a company from far away. So we usually seek partnership for our companies and get a cooperation between the Hungarian and the abroad companies in terms of manufacturing, installation, and operation as well. So I hope that after we sign the memorandum of understanding with the Digital Filipinas, we can share what our companies are capable of, and we may find the partners for cooperation in the Philippines in order to learn from each other and exchange our experiences. Our Hyper program, because this database is called Hyper, includes some PropTech companies, which I'm going to shortly describe for you, but we are going to send to the organizers a list of Hungarian innovative solutions, and you can always contact us if you are interested in working or cooperating with Hungarian startups, scale-ups, or actual SMEs with the solution. So just a quick look on Hungarian companies. Actually, in the field of PropTech, a Hungarian company is the market leader in the world in traditional PropTech, because ArchiCAD, the market leader solution for engineering and designing the buildings, is a Hungarian product. But for the more recent and more modern approach of the PropTech, mostly software solutions are mentionable from the side of Hungary, BIM systems, building information modeling, and also GIS systems. I have to mention that the Hungarian government led successful projects in digitizing all the cartographic data and geospatial data of Hungary, including the utilities, which is called 3D Hungary. So we have a 3D map of Hungary, all the buildings and all the utilities above and below the ground level. Case holding is one of the biggest construction companies and real estate development companies in Hungary. They are well above €1 billion a year, and they have their own building information modeling solutions, including 4D and 5D schedule planning and budget and cost estimation models as well, and they are selling it as well as a side business. There are some smaller companies as well. One is Agora Solution Software. I will send you the presentation so you can check out the web pages. They are all in English if you are interested. Agora Solutions provides some administration software for the buying and selling of the real estate. Entel is an interesting company. We are working with them. They are cutting edge in acoustics. Actually, we are having a project with them regarding improving the acoustics of the schools and school halls in order for the children to be able to learn better. Because we found that the old buildings, in the old buildings and old classrooms, children don't hear the teachers. So this company is providing a solution for enhancing the acoustics in the school classrooms. Smart Deposit is a really cutting-edge solution. They are using smart contracts to manage the deposits when buying or selling a real estate. In Hungary, the properties are mostly owned by those who live in them, and if the property is exchanged, it's in many cases happening between two individuals. Not some big companies, and handing the deposits is much easier made with the blockchain architecture. LogCheck is an interesting solution for the construction industry, managing the projects and resources. I advise you to check it out, and I think this is what I prepared for today, and I hope I wasn't too long.
Yes, thank you so much, Mr. Laszlo. That was full pack information. We look forward to learning more about what you do in Hungary and applying it here in the country. So many exciting things to happen.
And I'm sorry, but I have to leave for my next meeting. But I really believe that my colleague Dora Zakar is also here with us. So if you have any questions regarding our operations or our companies, just feel free to contact her. And also you can send me an email or reach me out on social media. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time. Okay, so at this point, we have come to our panel discussion. And allow me to introduce each of our panelists. They will be sharing a little more about themselves and the company they represent. Our first panelist is a Cebuano by birth, architect by training, salesman by vocation, Catholic by faith, family man by commitment, public speaker by demand, and a humanitarian by choice. He studied architecture at the University of Santo Tomas. After 3 failed ventures in the design, construction, and BPO industry, He founded RivaStaff.com in 2018, which offers services to international clients, and VR Spaces PH in 2019 to cater to local clients. Both are property tech startups specializing in the production of visual marketing content to drive real estate sales using technologies like image processing, 3D, CGI, reality capture, and augmented and virtual reality. His startups were incubated by DTI Startup Island. They are also finalists in CNN's business reality TV show, The Final Pitch, and part of Accelerator Startup Village and Cognity Labs. Currently, they have over 2,000 clients and have helped developers and brokers sell over 10,000 homes in the United States, and they're advocating the mass adoption of their technology in the Philippine market and the rest of Asia. Without further ado, please welcome the founder and CEO of RivaStaff.com and VRSpaces.ph, Mr. OJ Lopez.
Thank you, AJ. So should I just start right away, share my slides?
Yes, please go ahead.
All right. Yeah. Thank you. As I've mentioned in the chat, I'm a product of Startup Village and mentorship from Amor during our stint in the Final Pitch. So it comes full circle that I am here right now with you guys, sitting on the big boys table. All right, so VR Spaces, can you see my screen? Okay, VR Spaces, in this presentation, I would like to the possibilities of selling properties in the metaverse. So what the heck is metaverse anyway? And we'll discuss that later on. Let's start low tech muna. So here, meet Tito June. Everybody has a Tito June, but this Tito June is a OFW. And he wants to retire in the Philippines, and he is looking for properties. So if we have real estate agents in the audience, probably that's a hot lead for you. But he already has a realtor, and that is Rhea. So meet Rhea. Rhea is a realtor. And then she's selling properties. But the way they usually sell properties here in the Philippines is they bombard clients with text, and then like for example this one, Ayala Alabang house that is 100 million listing price. So can you see that? No, you can't, because that's just text and very little fonts. That's why Tito June is frustrated. He is asking for more pictures and visual representation of that 100 million listing property. But Rhea is smart. So she called VR Spaces, and then of course we helped her out. We went to all her listings and then take the drone shots, 360 virtual tours, the basic photo and videos, things of that nature. And then Rhea was able to close the property or the sale with Tito June. And if it's 100 million property, usually real estate brokers get like 5%. So that's like what, 5 million. And so Rhea wouldn't mind paying us maybe $1,000, $50,000. That's just 1% of the commission that she would be getting. But of course, not everybody has 100 million listing or property listed to them. Hence, we launched a creative services subscription for real estate, and we learned that there are about 35,000 licensed brokers in the Philippines, and most of them have marketing staff that help them, and then they pay them 10,000, 15,000, 20,000. But in VR Spaces, we want to supplement that just for a fraction of a price. We'll be able to give those realtors access to premium listing content. That is done by professional photographers and editors that they would be able to use in social media. They don't need to, hindi na kailangan nilang magnakaw at save us yung picture ng ibang agents. And we would also throw in a branded listing property website that would have their details, their branding, their logos, things like that. And for those that are still doing prints, yeah, sige na lang, print pa rin. But definitely whatever technique you would want to have, that would definitely increase your brand as a real estate person. So what does that include? No? So a 360 virtual tour. No? So imagine if you're an agent, tapos you would be able to your properties, no? In the comforts of the house of the client or the office. You'll be able to show them like 5-6 properties in one sitting. Property in Batangas, a property in Tagaytay, a property in Palawan. That's the closest thing, di ba, to teleportation. And 360 virtual tour, it's not like scrolling through pictures. It's very immersive. If you haven't tried that, we have clients in the PropTech consortium. No, you better go to their model units. You have to experience it yourself. Yeah, so another solution that we have is virtual staging. Like for example, if a condo, diba, they would turn over walang furniture. But in order for buyers to see the potential of an empty space, these are all 3D CGI furniture that are photorealistic. That's not really a real furniture there. We just manipulated the image so it would look like there's real interior decoration and things like that for this. And then another one, let's talk about pre-selling properties. So as architects, our designs would be constructed, then pre-selling, usually 3-5 years before you would be able to turn over a unit. But in here, you would be able to see the space in a VR environment as if it's already built. Right? So that's really cool. But 5 years from that's actually giving you a glimpse of the future. So it's not only teleportation, it's actually time travel, di ba? So you can go 5 years from now and look at the property that you're supposed to buy, and that I think that would be really helpful for a lot of salespeople. So there, if that wouldn't blow your mind, I don't know what will. But maybe this one. This is my last slide. So, like the metaverse, this is the only time in human history that the convergence of technologies like the blockchain that enables the ownership of digital assets, and then the advancements of VR technology, those stereoscopic light would trick the brain as if the VR experience is real. But you would see memes there with VR, but for them, the one who's inside that VR goggles, they have another world. Wala silang pakialam if they're looking silly in the real world, but they're actually immersive, very immersed in the environment that they are in. So what does that mean for brands and brokerages and real estate developers? Like in the 90s when people are saying that the internet is a fad, and right now everybody has not even social media pages and the website. They have social media managers. That job didn't exist like 20 years ago. And the metaverse is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And hopefully, brands and conglomerates, I think, and the work with startups will be really enable a Pilipinas metaverse. And we're actually working with a few startups as well in developing this. So if you want to talk more about metaverse stuff, VR stuff, here's my contact, OJ Lopez at vrspaces.ph. Thank you.
Thank you so much, OJ. That is really mind-blowing. See you in the metaverse.
See you in the metaverse.
See you in the metaverse. All right, our next panelist is a CPA. She is the president and co-founder with over 10 years of experience in digital transformation, business development, and technological outsourcing, having worked with leaders in banking, QSR, insurance, and managed service providers in the Philippines and in the USA. She was previously with Amihan Global Strategies, Bank of the Philippine Islands, and SGV and Company. She recently completed the Alibaba Netpreneur Training Program, and she has won at Startup Weekend, San Francisco Retail, and Global Latin America SouthTech Community FinTech. She is a World Economic Forum Global Shaper since 2017 and graduated with honors from the De La Salle University, Manila. I'm proud to introduce her, Ms. Pamela Belen.
Thank you, AJ. Hi, everyone. So very happy to be part of this group, and nice to finally be in the company of those leaders really that are changing the digital landscape in the country. So very excited to be amongst this group. And okay, let me share my screen. So for this afternoon, I'm actually wearing two hats. So I am the president and the co-founder of Umpisa. That's a technology consulting and services company, but also the CEO of HomeJoy, which is one of our products. And for this afternoon, I'm going to be talking more about HomeJoy, which really aims to automate home buying, selling, and also financing. For the past 3 years, Umpisa has been operating since 2019, and we've been working with some established companies in the country and also abroad. And since 2019 as well, we have been in the PropTech sector. We actually started with property management with Kamada, and then just late last year, we launched HomeJoy. And why did we start building HomeJoy? It's really, I guess, a bit of background about myself too. My mom is an OFW, and I have a lot of relatives who are OFWs, and really having a home it gives that sense of pride to every Filipino who has been working hard abroad. But then, I've been in tech for more than 10 years, and now when I started out, it was digitally transforming the banking sector, and then starting Umpisa and starting HomeJoy. It's the objective is also digitally transforming the real estate industry. And then we found out that that there is this this huge housing backlog in the country at around 6 million, and for us to meet that housing backlog, we need to be able to produce more than 2,000 homes per day, and we want to be part of the solution to address that with our platform HomeJoy. Our main objective is for home buying to be done via Filipino, wherever they are in the world, and it's going to be happening at their fingertips. And with this end goal in mind, at the end of the day, we want home buying to be fast, easy, and attainable. By 2025, this is our very big goal. We hope that 1,000 developers will be digitally enabled, which would translate to effectively be 25% of the local real estate sector. So we really want to be able to cover the entire of the Philippines and then go regional, and then also go global, because one of the mission also of Umpisa is for the Philippines to be known globally as a tech hub. I spent a lot of time in San Francisco since 2018, and clearly the Philippines is not yet on top of the list of people of countries when it comes to digital businesses and digital talent. And we want to be one of the leaders there, na itayo yung flag of the Philippines when it comes to digital businesses and digital talent, one of which is through HomeJoy. We built HomeJoy primarily because for the real estate developers, we actually work closely also with Sheda, and we found out that currently for one home buying, for one home sale or one home purchase, it goes through a lot of communication channels. So we are talking Viber, Facebook Messenger, G Drive, G Suite, and a lot of in-person visits to and from the project site or to the office of the developer. And there's a lot of back and forth. So there are a lot of inefficiencies there. And And these inefficiencies, technology and data can actually be of help. So we want to be able to enable the developers, the agents, the buyers, and also the funders for them to improve their operations. And the objective here is, let's say for this certain developer, it takes them 120 days from, let's say, reservation up to the loan takeout. We want to cut that down into at least half. So let's say for 120 days to 60 days, that is our objective. It's to improve that sales conversion process, if you will. Why? Because from this current process, we want it to be done in just one integrated platform, so that the developers, the funders, the agents, the buyers will just be there, and then it's going to be transparent, it's going to be real time, and it's going to be very good for the industry. We're saying that because why would everybody want that? For the buyers, they're going to be having their homes built faster, and then for the developers, they're going to be able to get the loan proceeds much faster, and that's going to allow them to construct the homes in a shorter amount of time. And then for the agents or for the brokers, they're going to be able to get their commissions also faster, which is part of their livelihood. And for our funders, then of course that is their business. The more that they be able to lend out their money, then that's also going to be good for them and also good for the economy. So that's why we want all of these players to just be in one place, so that there's more transparency, and the transactions will be easier and more cost effective for everyone. At the end of the day, we want the buying of the homes and also the turning over of the homes, again, to be fast, simple, easy, and also attainable. Just a quick features, just a quick rundown of what we currently have. For the developers, it's going to allow them to have this master file. So it's going to be the single source of truth for our developers. And they're also going to be able to manage all of their thousands of customers, thousands of their buyers. And it's going to be automated. So we have automated notifications and real-time alerts for their buyers and for their agents. We also prioritize the real-time inventory of their housing projects, because this is currently being done, let's say, via Excel or via whiteboard, and there are a lot of double sales too. So we really prioritized having the real-time inventory as part of the first release of HomeJoy. Also, this is the most recent feature that we added on our platform. This would allow our developers, small, medium, or large ones, to be able to target their leads or target their existing customers. So we built this campaigner. Currently, it's on SMS and also email, but in the next few months, we're also going to be adding Viber integration. And of course, for our buyers, at the end of the day, it's going to be simpler for them to provide all of the necessary requirements online, even pay online, and make sure that the developers, the agents, or the funders would get their concerns or issues going to be also online, and that reduces the effort, and also saves them time, and also saves them money, and at the end of the day, make that customer experience of buying a home more pleasurable, because how many times are you going to be buying a home? So we also want to improve that home purchase experience for them. So for the developers who have their website or their Facebook page, we're going to be just adding, let's say here, the call to action button. So it could be a buyer's login or the seller's login. So it's going to be that simple. So at the back, it's powered by HomeJoy. And yes, we hope that you find what we currently have valuable and useful, so that for the developers particularly, you're going to be able to close your sales faster, and then get your NOAS approvals also quicker, and be able to run your business also 24/7 wherever you are. So yeah, that's HomeJoy.
Thank you so much, Pam. Again, Pam from HomeJoy. This is good news for the real estate industry. I really like the integrated platform that you're talking about, and I'm sure the real estate industry will benefit, from the buyers to the developers to users and brokers. Now I'd like to go to the next speaker, or to the next panelist. Our next panelist is currently the general manager of Inventi, a PropTech company that develops innovative software to optimize property management. Originally from the Philippines, he was educated in Singapore and the US and spent most of his career in Shanghai, China, as a strategy consultant focused on market entry and expansion for multinational F&B and consumer goods companies. In 2020, he joined Inventi, overseeing the growth of the company to more than 200 properties across 5 million square meters of gross floor area to be the software solution of choice for office, residential, commercial properties, and more. Please welcome Mr. Francis Henares.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, AJ. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Francis Henares. I'm the GM of Inventi. If I can just share my screen. So I'll kind of start this presentation talking about who we are, how we got here, and then I'm going to share with you what we've been learning about the future of PropTech. Also what this may look like from the perspective of property and tenant management, our specialty, and then how we're addressing these trends at Inventi. But first, a little bit about Inventi. So we are the Philippines' largest property management software provider. There are over 200 buildings implemented with Inventi in the Philippines, in addition to more than 100 branches of retail and food and beverage outlets across Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. All in all, more than 5 million square meters of gross floor area. And as you can see, we've been growing rapidly since the pandemic, and we were able to more than double our gross floor area coverage from 2021 just in 2022 year to date. So how did we get here? Well, it all started with our backend experience. This is the property management backend, which we enabled property managers to digitize and automate their property management operations, work orders, maintenance, meters and gauges, etc. We then followed this with our facilities front end. So this is how technicians can then interact with the system as they're going around the property, doing all sorts of work and maintenance, and then feed that information of what they've done into our property management backend. And finally, we finish that off with our occupant or tenant front end. So this is the end user that lives or works within the building. So whether they're an office worker or kind of a condo tenant, there is a set of services and amenities that they can avail of through this front end experience. After that, we went a little bit further, and then we added IoT, the Internet of Things, into the mix. So we were then able to connect with a range of sensors and connected devices to give property managers and building owners a full picture of their property, whether that's a smart meter, an occupancy counter, temperature and humidity sensor. We can get a full picture of the property through these IoT devices without the need for human intervention. So that's where we are now. And that has enabled us to serve a diverse set of customers across property types and industries. So obviously the bulk of our clients are in real estate development, but we also have retail, hospitals, construction, food and beverage, and more. Overall, we serve 30 unique, more than 30 unique companies, as well as 5 listed companies here in the Philippines. And we're growing rapidly across a vast range of industries and property types. So now I'd like to share with you what trends are we seeing in property and tenant management, our area of expertise, and then how can PropTech respond to this? The first trend is the shift towards net carbon zero. So a net carbon zero property is a property that produces or procures enough carbon-free renewable energy to meet that property's energy consumption needs. So why is this important? Well, building operations and construction account for almost 40% of global CO2 emissions. So as you can see, that is a lot of emissions attributed to buildings and properties alone. So this has given rise to a range of net carbon zero properties and net carbon zero initiatives. This is the NUS School of Design in Singapore that is a net carbon zero building. So how can PropTech respond to this trend? Well, in the back end, we're already responding. So for us at Inventi, it's using these IoT devices like smart meters to track electricity consumption before we receive our bill or before we find out how much energy we're consuming. So we're able to track our energy consumption in real time, whether it's electricity, gas, or even water consumption through these IoT smart meters, and then make decisions based on that instead of retroactively. Other kind of backend features that we find very interesting are things like software to ensure audit-ready buildings for green certification, such as Edge app, So the Edge app actually allows you to continuously input all of the requirements for this green certification so that the building is always audit-ready. But these are back-end activities. What also is needed is a front-end experience to immerse the tenant or occupant into this net carbon zero initiative. So we're drawing inspiration from apps like Capture app, which is really able to kind of allow the user to visualize their carbon footprint and the impact of the small decisions they make every day to reduce their carbon footprint. So this is what we want to do, kind of moving from the back end to the front end to create an immersive experience for the tenant or occupant in buildings. So things like these we find very interesting and we're drawing inspiration from. The second shift that I'd like to talk about is the shift towards the liquid workplace. So the pandemic showed that work is not just limited to the office, but also the home. But now we're seeing that employees want to work anywhere. And news just came out that, for example, that Airbnb has committed to a fully remote workplace. So that they're enabling their employees to live and work anywhere. And other companies are following suit as well. So how can PropTech respond to this? So I think what we think is needed is to redesign the occupant front-end experience to encompass more than just the office building. So that means neighborhoods, communities, and include ways for home-based employees to enjoy company resources and hire all the resources they need to be productive. It also means that we need to create a front-end experience for tenants that encourage employees to interact and socialize despite not being in the same physical space. Partnering with local eateries and retailers to offer discounted meals and products, reward employee collaboration. Ultimately, offices will remain important, but the goal is to expand the front-end experience for occupants and tenants beyond the office and encourage workers to collaborate wherever they are. So these are the trends that inform where Inventi is going right now. If there are three things that I want you guys to remember, it's number one, we really need a solid back end in property management because it's the core of any property management or operation and a key driver of efficiencies and cost reduction in any property management process. Number two, accelerating the shift to net carbon zero needs end users to be involved through something like an immersive front-end experience. And three, there are now opportunities to drive greater productivity and employee retention through the liquid workplace. So we need to design our PropTech solutions around those trends. So yeah, thank you so much for having me. And if you're interested in what we're doing, we'd love to connect with you. These are my contact details, and you can drop us an email as well at info@inventi.ph or visit our website. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Francis. That's very informative. I've actually taken note of the three key messages that you have left us with. And again, you know, the solid back end in property management, accelerating in net carbon zero, and of course, the liquid workplace. So we've taken note of that. So for our
Thanks, AJ.
audience, if you want to know more about it, Francis Henares is the name. All right.
Thank you.
So now we go to our fourth panelist. And our next panelist is the CEO, co-founder of ConstructPH, an e-commerce platform that will bridge the entire home improvement and construction industry to provide convenience and better purchasing experience. A virtual ecosystem that will empower industry players from manufacturers, distributors, retailers to service providers with an upgraded business environment for digital transactions. A marketplace that will help improve the competitiveness of each player, particularly the MSMEs. So this is good news, especially for MSMEs. Please welcome Mr. Romel Bulalakaw, the CEO and co-founder of ConstructPH.
Thank you for the introduction. I'll share my screen. Hi, good afternoon. I'm Romel Bulalakaw. I'm the CEO and founder of ConstructTech PH. We are an e-commerce platform that do not only disrupt the construction industry, but we would like to revolutionize the construction ecosystem of the construction industry. We also support developing properties and home improvements for this PropTech forum. We have some stories to tell. One is Mami Len. She's a handyman and needs to replace their busted lights in their home. And she's a widow, but she has no time to go to her nearest hardware store and would buy online for convenience and safety reasons. Next is Manong Bongbong Contractor. He's a contractor who prepares buying affordable construction materials for his construction business. But he and his procurement team are based in Manila, and their project is a farmhouse in Calaca, Batangas. He prefers to do alternative method to save purchasing method to save on time and resources. And Manong Bongbong prefers using their corporate credit card to improve cash flow in time for their credit card due date and collection from their client. Next is Mang Isko. Mang Isko Nava is a mom and pop hardware store owner. They are active with their social media Facebook account. He has OFW clients that inquires on his FB page but cannot transact without payment gateway facility when customers in the Middle East and Europe would rather pay via credit cards. Now our solution is an e-commerce platform where Construct.ph. Our platform supports micro, small, and medium-sized hardware stores. They're complemented by wholesalers, distributors, and manufacturers. We also encourage community selling via choices of nearest, cheapest, and fastest delivery. You know, construction process is quite unique compared to the general merchandise segment. Job sites has limited warehousing spaces and resources, and the choices of nearest, cheapest, and fastest delivery is very important to them. Within the app, we also provide on-demand, scheduled pickup, or merchant-initiated delivery service. Our algorithm will determine the type of vehicle to be used in delivering the items purchased. Our delivery vehicle ranges from motorcycles, vans, elf trucks, forward trucks, 10-wheeler, and trailer trucks. Our logistics partners are Lalamove, Transportify, Toki, Ninja Van, and many more. Our payment gateway system is Metrobank. They can pay via Visa, MasterCard, and GCash, and soon it will be PesoNet and InstaPay. Our revenue streams are in the e-commerce platform fee with B2C and B2B transactions. We also have logistics fee as our revenue stream. And we will also be supported by in-app advertisement or carousel ad and data analytics. And as for our total addressable market, we have a 1 trillion industry, but we're trying to hit the service obtainable market of 8% in 5 years or 2.3 billion. Our serviceable available market is around 400 billion, and our projected CAGR is 85% year on year. We're building a sustainable community for the construction ecosystem, and we have what it takes to help you put it all together. Let's construct with Construct, and we're looking for more brand partners. In case there are referrals from you guys, you can reach us at this email address. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Romel. Wow, this is the first time I've actually learned about your company and your app. So it's very interesting. And for our audience, reach out to Romel for more questions to know more about what they do. Thanks again, Romel. Yes, and now we are going to complete the list of our panelists. I would like to introduce the Chief Strategy Officer of TOA, a platform that manages all the communication, financial administration, and business processes required for the management of strata properties and the property and facility management companies which service them. It also enables access to this captive market of owners, tenants, and managers, and the multiple revenue opportunities for maintenance, concierge, professional, and home service online via a monthly subscription. The Chief Strategy Officer of TOA, please welcome Mr. James Nicholson.
Thanks very much for the introduction. Good afternoon, everyone. I'll just quickly bring up the slideshow for you. I hope everyone can see that. TOA was really born from our frustrations with the tech. So when we established this company about 4 years ago, myself and my colleagues were property management, facility management, or the supply chain that was feeding this industry. And at the time, we were stuck with very old software that was typically procured by financial people, not operational people. And typically the operational people were left to deal with the CAFAM system that the financial department had procured. So TOA was really born out of the operational frustrations with existing technology. So if anyone's ever managed a building before, typically if you're not dealing with software and you've got a paperwork-based system, you'll look like the person on the left. And once you have technology in the palm of your hand, life becomes a little bit easier, and hopefully you'll look something a little bit more like the gentleman on the right. When we look at buildings in broad strokes, what we're trying to do is effectively try and reduce the service charges to the landlord, to the homeowners, to try and make effectively the property more affordable. This is particularly relevant when we're dealing with investors. People often talk about location and things like this, but as an investor, one of the most important things is tenancy uptake. Does it have a high tenancy occupation, and does it have low operating costs? And the key is to reduce the operating costs without sacrificing the service side of things. So in the Philippines, in broad strokes, you can break down service charges into 3 chunks. You have 30% on energy, 30% on operations, and about 30% in real estate property tax. And so as a business, we tend to focus on the utility aspect and the operational aspect. Our business model for our clients, which are typically property management clients, facility management, asset managers, many of our clients were developers, and because they built real estate, they felt that they understood how to manage real estate. but unfortunately hadn't taken into consideration the fact of dealing with the end consumer, which is a very complex business if you've ever run a building. So typically what we do is we help our clients increase their revenue. We do this by allowing them to offer in-unit services or behind the bulkhead services where homeowners are more willing to spend revenue rather than on their common area service charges. So in more mature markets, we often find property management companies are winning contracts with a 3%, a 5% markup, but really where they're looking to justify the contract is in selling in the services behind the door, which is where they're often obtaining, 30 to 50% profit margins. So what we allow them to do is effectively streamline their operations, make sure that we're not dealing with duplicate data sets, and so effectively having a single source of truth in terms of what have I got, when is work being done to it, who last did that work, and so on and so forth. So typically when we go to market, it's very much on a B2B play. We go to property management companies, help streamline their service operations and allow them to retask that resource into revenue generating opportunities. So reducing maybe the MEP staff in the common areas because it's now more efficient, retraining, retasking that manpower, and then selling that manpower into home services, things like HVAC maintenance and so on and so forth. We've built the platform very much along the lines of it being open protocol. The reason for this is as time goes forward, hardware typically gets cheaper, but if you end up getting tied into manufacturer specific software, it typically ties you into their hardware, which is really where they want to try and grab you. So from our side, there's two components. We have the operational aspect, which deals with the daily operations, removing work out of that supply chain, allowing all the different subcontractors that service an asset, which is typically between 14 and 20 different entities. Everyone's reporting into a single database. And then obviously on the other side, selling into that consumer and allowing those service providers to sell their services into that consumer. And it's in this space where we're seeing a lot of interest around the FinTech space. So if you need HVAC replacement or a boiler replacement, the FinTech guys are very interested in selling in microfinance into that consumer to spread that CapEx over a longer period of time and effectively charging interest on that. On the IoT space, again, we're very much open protocol. This allows people to go from preventative maintenance to predictive maintenance. And really helps reduce the overall OPEX of running a building. These are some of the different functions that we have within the platform. Complaints is tickets. Typically, if you have a problem within a building and it's not inside the contract, it becomes a project. How do you procure that service from the broad market? Work permits, obviously your utility components, planned preventative maintenance, snagging or punch lists, security patrols, community notices, and things like this. So it's really a centralized platform that allows the supply chain plus the consumer to interact in a single centralized platform. This is how our platform works. We have a sort of the mobility side. One of the challenges in the industry that we've seen before with traditional CAFAM systems is they try to charge on a per user basis. And so if you have a number of electricians, a number of security guards, a number of plumbers, landscapers, pest control guys, the challenge for the property management companies is all these subcontractors are providing paperwork. That paperwork needs to be disseminated, understood. Often you get a loss of information within that supply chain, and obviously it's increasing your overhead in terms of the administrative cost, which then makes you less competitive or increases your service charge. So what we try to do is make sure that all service providers interact with the platform, all their scopes of work, who came, when they came, what they did when they came, photographic evidence, and so on and so forth. Once you bring into the IoT aspect, you're looking to try and replace a lot of that headcount with devices. whether it be things like vibration sensors, smart meters, so not just a digital meter, but a smart meter, so remove the manpower that's going and checking what the reading might be and just taking that feed automatically. And on the IoT side of things, as I say, we use a open protocol gateway that can take any feed from any IoT sensor. And our main objective ultimately is to reduce the total cost of ownership. And we do this by fundamentally looking predominantly at the MEP side of things. So we try to extend assets life cycle, therefore reducing the overall CapEx expenditure over a period of time. We look very heavily at the demand side of electricity, dealing with things like fresh air intake. Is it being treated before it comes into the building, or are you allowing wet air to come into the building and the coil's running wet and then you get mold and mildew issues inside the structure? So really around the energy side of things, we tend to focus very much on the MEP side of things and extend that life cycle of that plant, therefore reducing the CapEx and ultimately reducing that total cost of ownership. Some of the areas which I touched on before, in terms of the manpower side of things, you can see a significant reduction in the headcount that's required to maintain a building. This is understanding what people are doing, when they're doing it, why they're doing it, and effectively ensuring that assets don't go down and you fix when broken, but you're dealing with the issues prior to it becoming an issue. That combined with obviously the energy savings through making sure that the plant equipment is running on its optimum power curve. And this ultimately allows us to reduce, again, this overall cost of ownership within a structure, which makes it far more appealing to investors. And when we're dealing with things like REITs, it's really about, as I say, reducing cost of ownership, increasing revenue. Therefore, there's a bigger chunk in the middle and the share price goes up as a result of that. These are some of the different things that we can do in terms of sort of the IoT side of things. Obviously, with the big go back to work scenario taking place in the Philippines at the moment, trying to encourage people back into the workplace. It's really kicking on now the human well-being. What's the environment like? What's the humidity like? What's the CO2 levels like? Are you getting stratification within the workspace? So are people sitting inside a CO2 bubble, or are you getting the right mix of air within that space to ensure that people are awake in the afternoon and not sleeping? And it's a whole range of these sort of different parameters that we can report through the system, which are increasingly important to a number of sort of the blue chip businesses on their ESG push. These are some of the clients that we work with. There's a variety of sort of different businesses here, and we do different aspects of work for them, whether it be on the MEP side, energy efficiency aspects, or just the general administrative overhead costs that they see within their supply chain. So Tower is very much come from an operational background and really understanding what the intricacies are within the built environment and ensuring that that overhead that ends up getting passed on to the consumer is really brought down to a minimum, but not sacrificing service at the same time. That's just a quick snapshot of Tower and how we operate. And if anyone's got any interest, then I'd certainly be open to any questions from anyone.
Thank you so much, James. I thought that you've opened our eyes to what TOA is about and the services that you provide. I'm sure there would be some questions from the audience. Actually, I'd like to do some shout out from our guests, or to our guests rather, who's staying, and they don't mind staying a little bit longer because they find the session to be very informative. So I'd like to do a shout out with Canon, who's joining us. We also have some brokers joining us for from Lyra Sanchez. I'm not gonna mention one by one, but thank you for staying. So we're gonna go to the most awaited part of the event, and that would be the panel. And it won't be complete without our moderators. So it's my honor to introduce her. To get us started on the discussion, we are privileged to have her as our moderator, an accredited mentor of Go Negosyo and ASEAN Mentorship for Entrepreneurs Network. She is well-versed in program planning and business development, international trade and investment promotion through 10 years of diplomatic service and 20 years of entrepreneurial and corporate experience. She goes deep into projects with high social and development impact with small business mentorship and the private sector COVID-19 response. She is currently working to tip the country into Asia's technology winner's circle with the success of FinTech Magpie.im and other Philippine startups. She is instrumental in scaling mentorship initiatives on the digital transformation of small businesses, enabling quick business pivots and exponential enterprise growth. She is recognized as the most influential Filipina keeper of the flame, Filipina Women's Network in San Francisco, not just in 1 year, but in 2009, 2010, 2011, and 2016. The Secretary and co-founder of PropTech Consortium of the Philippines, it's my pleasure to introduce Josephine Romero.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. This has been a great panel. I mean, these presentations about from the startups. I've been writing down notes, and basically we've answered many of the questions that I really wanted to ask from you. Excellent presentations. And I would like to say thank you to Digital Pilipinas, Amor, and Startup Village, Carlo. I mean, whoever invited and confirmed the speakers, the panelists we have here this afternoon, you're all great. And your solutions are also relevant to the Philippine environment. So I think that's why a lot of questions have been posted already and actually answered in our Q&A. And I see that there's also a lot of synergy that can be had among the different solution providers here. So now let's make it real for the developers and for the brokers and other stakeholders that are in the room today. You only had a few minutes to make presentations, but maybe to make it more something that they could understand, I'm going to lift a question from the Q&A and apply it to all of you. I'd like to ask you to maybe cite 1 or 2 use cases where your solutions would be very applicable to different sectors of the Philippine PropTech and Philippine real estate industry in the Philippines today. I'll start with OJ. OJ, I love your collaborative statement in the chat box, and I totally agree with you. Please go ahead, OJ.
Yes. Well, we have already been talking with Pam for quite some time now, so it's already like in the works, right, Pam?
Yep.
For like real use cases, like for example, we had a project in Bohol. No, they're doing, and then they found out that the target market that actually got a lot of their properties sold were OFWs and then they wouldn't have that success if it wasn't for the solution that we provided them, because you need to go to Bohol and you need to and then they have very and it's not very remote, but during the pandemic that was a challenge, the limitation of mobility. Hence during the height of the pandemic, that's where a lot of our solutions were being adopted by local developers. Because the one that really our business is being sustained by our foreign or international clients. It's not really the local developers. But during the pandemic, we start getting inquiries from developers and even actual projects that we have done over the course of 2 years. And prior to that, we even told ourselves that now we will just gonna focus on the international market. I don't think that the Philippines is ready for the kind of technology that we have. But surprisingly, there are really real estate developers that would really talk to us and really try to understand what we are trying to solve, and slowly but surely it's not like the mass adoption is not there yet, but we're gonna get there, and
Sure.
I'm sure with this event, that's
But you mean, OJ, the developers locally are already very interested. But when you say international market, you're talking about are you talking about just Filipinos overseas, or the international market in general who are interested in, say, investing, or in the words of Amor, domiciling here in the Philippines, both as residents and as investors?
But not really. The what I mean is international is like they would outsource, their CGI and then their 3D renderings, the floor plans,
Okay, great.
editing. So that's like the core business still that keeps us.
That's very interesting, because that's also one of the questions that we wanted to ask many of you, the developers here, of this tech developers. Let me qualify that, not the real estate developers, but the developers here, is whether there really is sufficient talent here, or the skills available here in the country. And you're implying that there really is already.
And for sure, like a lot of our clients are in New York, and that's like the mecca of real estate, right? And most of the properties that you see in Zillow and Redfin are being done by Filipino creatives, and we have like world-class talent, and that's not being maximized by our local conglomerates that can utilize that, and we have been just leveraging on that with. We have a lot of talented people, and then you don't need like diplomas and things like that to work with us. Like we work like 100% of my team work remotely, and it just works for us. So yeah.
Okay, great. I see that you have really two big markets that you're targeting: the developers themselves, the property developers themselves, and also the international market that can use your skills, your technical skills. That's great. Okay, maybe we'll hear from Umpisa from Homejoy. Hi, Pamela.
Yes. Okay, so for the use cases, actually a lot, but I think I'll just...
You can anonymize, please. Feel free to anonymize, because
yes. But for majority of the developers, actually, their major pain point really is, there are a lot of requirements for, let's say, a home loan. And what typically happens is that these documents, they would either expire, because when we're talking about the income documents, the documents are going to get lost, for example, because it gets passed on from, let's say, somebody from abroad, then to the kamag-anak, and then to the agent, and then balik-balik. And then, so that's one other reason. And then the third one is some of let's say, real estate developers, let's say they are far from a pag-ibig office. So for these developers, for them to submit their folders for home loan applications, they have to travel 3 hours, let's say from point A to that regional center. Or let's say in the Visayas areas, those that are in the islands, real story, lumulubog yung barko, and nandun all of the requirements are there. So it's nakakaiyak to think about it, actually. So I think that was really one of the primary reasons there. Technology, it's where we are right now. It's not yet high tech, to be honest. It's it's just improving the current process that we have and using the technologies out there to speed up that process. So first one would be the submission of the requirements for, let's say, a home loan application. The second thing that the developers and buyers are looking for would be these automated notifications. Because if we're talking thousands of leads, thousands of customers, and what they currently do right now is they update them manually. We're talking developers, particularly even the agents. They mass blast that through all of their Viber, WhatsApp, and also their SMS. So that's one of the key things that they also requested for. And then the other thing would be definitely a lot of our home buyers are abroad, and they want to be able to service them without sleeping overnight or keep being awake until 2 a.m., 3 a.m. in the morning. But with just, let's say, an online platform that would allow these OFWs to submit everything and also pay online without the risk of the money being sent back home to be spent elsewhere, then of course that's a huge plus already. And then I guess just last one point would be for the developer side. We know that there are, of course, it's very good that the FinTech community is very active and there are a lot of payment channels. and available. One pain point that we have identified is when you trace all of these payments. So if a one developer has several payment channels, a bottleneck is the payment reconciliation, because you have to like manually do that, manually check all of the reference numbers. But if it's done through like the HomeJoy platform, tracking these payments would be much simpler.
Right. Perfect. I mean, looks like or sounds like you've really assessed the culture of the Filipino buyer and the developers in the Philippines. So there's a match with what the two sides need and are looking for. So that's great. How's your customer service? Is it fully automated or is it a hybrid? There's also a person behind every message that gets sent.
For now, it's still very personalized. We just recently launched last part of the year. So we're constantly building. So for the moment, we are very much taken care of. We're very much high touch for the moment with our first customers.
That's great, because that's what the Filipino is also looking for,
yeah.
both on the developer side and on the buyer side.
That's true. That's true.
Okay, great. Thank you. So maybe we'll hear from Francis. Francis, I'm very, very much impressed with your presentation and also your ambitions. So would love to hear from you.
Thanks, Josephine. Yeah, I'd just like to talk about perhaps two case studies. The first that I think really demonstrates our strength in the back end was a hardware store where it was multi-branch, but each branch was a building. That's interesting to us because a building usually has a greater variety of problems, but with less frequency. A multi-branch operation has more frequent problems, but less variety. So this was both. It kind of had the worst of both worlds in terms of having to manage a great variety of problems with a large frequency. So that was really challenging for us, but I think our backend solution really helped them kind of optimize their property management operations. The second case study that I wanted to talk about was a condo that during the pandemic really wanted to reduce reliance on face-to-face and paper. So our tenant front end was really able to help them connect with their residents in a safe way. Just one last case study, which actually I'm really excited about, is a tech company that we're helping with their new workplace solution. And this kind of goes hand in hand with the liquid workplace that I mentioned earlier. So this tech company, the first phase is kind of us helping them supply resources over a strong tenant office front end to all of their office workers, whether it's booking amenities, interacting with other people in the office, as well as being able to connect with the workers at home. The next phase of this is that liquid workplace where we are helping them create a system that enables their employees to work anywhere they want and avail of special discounts depending on their location, and really reward collaboration, as well as eating locally and going to your neighborhood stores. That also goes into them bringing down their carbon footprint. So I'm excited about that because it's kind of a combination of the liquid workplace and reducing carbon footprint all in one project. So those are kind of the case studies that I wanted to share.
Yeah, I mean, when you said the carbon footprint and the liquid workplace, of course, these are different ways of thinking nowadays. How do you deal with the mindset? Is there an education part to what you're doing right now?
Well, we've been dealing with changing mindsets from the very beginning. We started out in 2017, 2018 in an environment that's very resistant to change. I mean, real estate is very much a kind of manual, slow to embrace change industry. So we've been dealing with that, mindset challenge for a very long time. And it's just now that we're seeing, as you could see with our ramp up in terms of number of implementations, we're seeing that change in part because of the pandemic, which made people more open to digitization and doing things not in so much a manual way. But now that we've just started to change the mindsets, with digitization, we want to move to the next phase, which is, net carbon zero. People aren't really talking about net carbon zero and liquid workplace. So we want to be kind of at the forefront of that thought leadership, so that we can start that conversation and get people thinking about it.
So do you offer some kind of training or even briefs so that the people you're talking to, get to your place of thinking?
Yes, even from the first sales pitch, that's kind of a training session in itself, because we are kind of educating people about the importance of digitization, automation, and what have you. But during the actual implementation, we have a train the trainer program where we train a subset of internal trainers that will kind of spread our system within the entire organization. So we have quite an established process for training both on the sales side and the implementation side.
Okay, great. Thank you, Francis. All right,
Thanks,
so now let's
Josephine.
hear from Romel. Romel, you're exposed to international markets too. I mean, with your experience outside of the country, please, and you're very familiar with the Filipino culture. So we'd love to hear your ideas and also some use cases.
Actually, we have several clients. We have European clients right now. They are merchants in our platform, and what they are lacking is the e-commerce platform to sell even outside of the Philippines. But their manufacturing site is in the Philippines, and because of our platform and our marketing tool being used by those European companies, they're able to sell Filipino-made products to other part of the world. That's why it is very useful. And for the developers, I think we will definitely be a partner for the developers, because they can track down prices right now, because recent prices becomes very high. It's a very like steel, for a year time, prices doubled up. And if they cannot monitor the increase in prices, that means their selling price will definitely be affected by their in their construction prices.
Right. No, you mentioned that because actually that was also one of the things I was thinking about. There is transition happening now, not only because of our exiting the pandemic, and then now we're entering into a world where we're challenged by a war that may not directly affect us, but actually affect our lives and our pockets. How are you dealing with that?
In our case, we're just a platform, but most of our clients have been trying to hold on to their old prices, but they cannot control it because of logistics from on how to bring it to the Philippines for the imported materials, and for the locals, they're very affected by the increase in fuel prices. That's why most of the prices are increasing almost every month.
So do you think that that's going to affect the growth of the PropTech industry, particularly maybe in your segment of the PropTech industry, because of these challenges?
Yes, because definitely their production cost will increase also, meaning some of the affordability of certain markets should also adjust on the production cost of property developers.
All right. So we'd love to hear from you, continuously in the near future, because I think everybody's watching out for that. And the long postponed development projects that we were hoping would just start up now in 2022 and 2023 might get delayed because of this. But thank you, Romel, for those insights. So let's hear from James. James, I think you had the most comprehensive presentation. I really love it, and we would love to know how that can apply even more widely in the Philippines. I understand that you already have a lot of Filipino clients.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose one of the areas that's probably been easiest to help our clients is on the building insurance side. So when you're looking at building insurance, it's typically being charged out at 1% of asset value, 0.75% of asset value. And really what the underwriters are looking for is risk avoidance. So if an underwriter walks into a building and goes to a property management office and simply sees files and files and files of paper and requests some information, and it may even take 15 minutes to find that information. If you're able to prove to the insurer that the equipment within that building has been maintained, when it was maintained, who maintained it, what they did when they were maintaining it, all of a sudden the risk component and the liability shifts from the property management company to the subcontractor. And as a result of that, you can get a reduction in your building insurance fee. So something like that, very, very simple, but allows the property management company to save quite a lot of money and pass that saving on to the end consumer. So that's probably one of the easiest ways where PropTech can help reduce service charges.
Great. That's wonderful. Yes, I think that's very important. Your overall objective of total cost of ownership, reduction of total cost of ownership. And then now you're talking about the insurance. That definitely is something that the developers and the buyers are also going to be very interested in taking up. So we don't really have a lot of time for this Q&A, but I'll go backwards now and say, maybe James, what do the Filipino PropTech community have to look forward to in the near future, and then maybe longer term from TOA?
From our side, as we're moving forward, we're starting to introduce more consumer services. Okay. Once you have that captive consumer market that's sat within inside these assets, and by default, they have to keep returning to your application to pay service charges, record a complaint, request a visitor's requirement, there's a fundamental need to return to the application, which is very different to a typical social media application where people will shift around with the moving sands or wherever the wind blows. The advantage of a PropTech platform is there's a fundamental reason as to why you would return to it. So once you have that inside these buildings, there's a variety of different businesses that are very interested to tap into that consumer market. So I think what you'll see as time evolves is you'll start to see food applications embedded inside the PropTech space. You'll start to see transportation applications embedded inside the PropTech space because of the regular traffic coming back to that. So at the moment, we're fundamentally working on the consumer services. We're having a few challenges around the FinTech side of things at the moment with regards to cross-border transactions and ensuring that if I've got a client that's based in the UK, they can still make payments in the Philippines, even though they're in different sort of fiscal territories. And that's one of the challenges that we're sort of working through at the moment. But it's really increasing that consumer service, you know, to the clients, really.
Okay, great. Thank you, James. Romel, maybe a quick one. What's in what's in store? Go ahead, Romel.
For the property developers, I think we can be a benchmark for them, them to be able to track prices and how to compute selling price.
All right, great. Thank you. Francis? What's in store for our stakeholders and you know, partnering, collaborating with Inventi for PropTech?
I think what we'd like to see is kind of more a push from the consumers. Right now, we interact so much with developers and companies. I think as we create these immersive tenant front-end experiences, we're going to see a lot more demand from consumers, demanding that the properties they purchase have intuitive front-end platforms, that they are, you know, they're working towards net carbon zero, that they're able to go completely paperless. So I think kind of what's next is that shift from developers and property managers being the push for digitization, and that shifting to consumers actually demanding that when they make their purchasing and leasing decisions with properties.
Okay, thank you, Francis. And Pamela, I know you already have a lot of projects in mind. You kind of mentioned many of them, but maybe in a nutshell?
I guess to continue from what Francis shared as well, I do believe in the same direction. Because of the digital Filipinos, we're like, it's a very young population. And then the pandemic happened. So businesses alike are like forced to go digital. And with that very digital savvy young population, there's really that push to go online. So that's really, I think, and even like for me, for Homejoy and for the rest of the PropTech players here, the developers are really looking for digital solutions. They are actively looking for solutions that would improve their business because they do realize the need. They see the need for data. They see the need for these online solutions for them to reach their customers and for them to run their business. So I really think that what's in store, I guess, for 2022, we're really going to be seeing a lot of activity when it comes to digitalization of the sector. So like having this kind of event, it's very helpful because there's really that momentum and that push. And we hope that we sustain it because there is really that need for it and a want for it.
Okay, well, definitely PropTech Consortium will continue to organize these events and welcome more tech people like you.
Yes.
All right. OJ, would love to hear from you. What's next?
Covers all the way, right? So
Okay.
yeah, I think there would be the virtual application of that would be translated to somewhat a real world utility. Like for example, I mentioned about architectural design, right? And having that preview, you would be able to already see, like you can put design adjustments as you see fit because you have that visual representation, not just a blueprint, but an antiquated way of constructing. How this is just in the mind of the architect. Not really the consumers can see what it would look like in 1:1 scale. And I think from gaming and VR and all of these immersive technologies are being utilized. But gaming, but I think there would be a lot of industry applications moving forward.
All right. Great. Thanks very much to all our panelists. Maraming salamat. Thank you very much for very engaging presentations and answers. And now over to you, AJ.
Thank you so much, Josephine, for that very engaging discussion. As you have mentioned, learned so much from all of our speakers in our panel and also from you. At this point, I would like to introduce what we call the great business leader, one of the great business leaders in the country. He is the recipient of William Bill Sidman Award for Lifetime Achievement in Leadership in the Financial Services Industry for 2020. He is the chairman of FinTech Philippines Association, co-founder of PropTech Consortium of the Philippines, and the chairman of Union Bank of the Philippines. I give to you Mr. Justo Tito Ortiz.
Hi, good afternoon to everyone and to Emma, Amor, Carlo, and your respective teams. Thank you so much for organizing this. I hope to our participants that it was an afternoon well spent, and I certainly learned a lot of things. And I think moving forward, there's still a lot to go, and I think that was echoed by the panelists. Transformation and disruption is only obvious in hindsight. We're all experts of today, but no one is really an expert of tomorrow. Yet this is what we're called upon to be, experts of tomorrow. Human progress demands it, technology enables it, and success awaits those who embrace it. So as such, I think we need to do a lot of learning by doing. We need to overcome inertia and hubris, which is very present, and walk toward the horizon. For only upon getting to that horizon, to that fringe of the future, can we see further and continue a virtuous cycle of setting audacious goals, learning, mostly failing, sometimes succeeding, iterating, course correcting, and setting up even more audacious goals. This is how we create transformative change. And while the tools and capabilities can be easily acquired, let me end on a personal note. Anxiety and excitement are arousal congruent physiological responses. But what I learned from top athletes is that somehow they convert anxiety into excitement. We, however, when we're anxious, the normal response is to try to calm down instead of reappraising it as excitement that's rooted in, so rather than be rooted in fear that drives excitement, that drives anxiety. In truth, audacious goals and this cycle of iteration and learning, failing and getting up really needs both excitement and courage. So the excitement and courage to take risk, the excitement and courage to be vulnerable, the excitement and courage to do different, to think different, and to be different. And to succeed and to win in the VUCA world, one needs excitement and courage as a personal mindset. And I think a lot of the panelists who have spoken, I think embody this mindset in order to be able to move forward in this future that is unknown. Now we're just beginning. And so let's go out and bring about transformative change. Let's tech up Pilipinas and put the Philippines at the center of innovation and of human progress, because we can. And we know that from some of the examples that were given to us today. So let me end with good afternoon and mabuhay ang digital Pilipinas. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ortiz. Mabuhay ang Digital Pilipinas. Thank you for the wisdom. We've learned so much from your message today. At this point, I would like to request all our speakers to open your camera for a picture taking. Sorry, turn on your cameras rather.
All right. All right, taking a picture. 1, 2, 3. One more time. Hold on. All right. 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Now, may I request all participants to turn on their cameras and join us for the picture taking. Shout out to our participants who stayed with us longer than expected. Thank you very much, everybody. 1.5 hours is not enough with all the information, right? And the great speakers that we had today.
All right, taking a photo. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
Thank you so much. As we end today's program, on behalf of the organizers, Digital Pilipinas, Geiser Maclang, of course, shout out to Chino Arroyo, all the speakers, our guests, our participants, we thank each one of you for joining us today. We would like to see you again on our future events. Let us know what type of topic you would like us to cover next time. We'll be happy to hear from you, and we look forward to connecting with all of you. So visit our websites. This has been your host, AJ Rosero, leaving you with a reminder, never stop learning, as life never stops teaching. Let's stay in touch. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
Thank you.